UN Security Council met in an emergency session concerning Ukraine. Russia called the meeting to discuss its response to the crisis. Earlier, the upper house of parliament in Moscow approved use of troops till the situation stabilizes. But President Putin has yet to decide on whether to send in the country's military. Marina Portnoy reports from New York.
Well, the UN Security Council met for the third time since Friday to discuss the crisis in Ukraine. Russian ambassador to the UN Vitaly Churkin told Security Council members that Moscow's actions in recent days are fully appropriate and legitimate. Mr. Churkin says that Ukraine's ousted leader, Viktor Yanukovich, sent a letter previously to President Vladimir Putin requesting that he use the Russian military to restore law and order in Ukraine. Ambassador Churkin says that despite the fact that Yanukovych was forcefully ousted from power, Moscow believes that he remains the legitimate president of Ukraine at this moment. Now, the Russian envoy held up a photocopy of Yanukovych's letter to all Security Council members and even read parts of what was written.
The president of Russia has received the following from President Yanukovych, and I quote, the statement of the president of Ukraine. As a legitimately elected representative, I say that the events in my place and the events in Kiev have resulted in the fact that Ukraine is on the brink of a civil war. In the country, there is chaos and anarchy. The life, the security, and the rights of people, particularly in the southeast part in Crimea, are being threatened. So under the influence of Western countries, there are open acts of terror and violence. People are being persecuted for language and political reasons. So in this regard, I would call on the President of Russia, Mr. Putin, asking him to use the armed forces of the Russian Federation to establish legitimacy, peace, law and order, stability, and defending the people of Ukraine. Viktor Yanukovych, 1st of March, 2014.
Now, Ambassador Churkin also told Security Council members that while ultra-nationalists continue to threaten the lives of ethnic Russians in Ukraine, he says there's also information of provocation being prepared against the Russian Black Sea Fleet, which has been in place for many years based on agreements with Ukraine. Now, while many Western envoys within the Security Council defended Ukraine's new government as democratic and legitimate, Ambassador Churkin questioned how the U.S. would react if radicals subjected a local official to a so-called kangaroo court, an event that took place in Ukraine not so long ago.
When the administrative buildings were hit, when a major people from a municipality were taken from that building and put to a pillar and they were mocked. Is that democracy when that was done to someone? Is a normal political process? In Chicago, would we see that, for example?
Now, depending on how the conflict in Ukraine, if it escalates or if it deepens, if tensions continue rising, we probably will see the Security Council meet once again to discuss this ongoing crisis.